let's talk about alpha dreamers. Who are alpha dreamers? These are the 2 billion people, 3 billion people around the globe, approaching 4 billion, who have discovered that life is beyond their immediate habitat. They have connectivity, they have access, they have dialogue, they have technology, and they are trying to look for better answers than what previously was provided to them. Alpha dreamers are the new dreamers. They have the capability to dream, they have the capability to imagine that perhaps from all the suffering and all the hardships that they have gone through, there are better options. They may and they may not have the solutions, but they recognize that there is something better. It is, they see the better light, they see the better transition, and perhaps it is possible that they will bring the most significant change as we approach 2025 and 2030. By that time, the entire civilization would have gone through the post-internet, the post-technological boom, and they will have the kind of skills that previous civilization, the previous era, never had it. With me, I have Shelley Frank, and I have Shelley Frank to talk about a great, to have a discussion, to talk about alpha dreamers, to talk about what are the business challenges, to talk about what are some of the dimensions and how they help us understand the future, where we can grow. So if we see the future on a broader spectrum, then we can also see our passages and our paths going forward. So, Shelley, welcome. I'm delighted that you found the time to join us. You have great series of experiences, but tell me, while we are at the Alpha Dreamers, how do you see this concept and this philosophy growing, and how do you see the youth, the younger people scattered all over the universe, how they are responding? One simple fact: whenever you hold a mobile phone in your hand, how many are aware that 1 billion people are holding the same device at that moment? And they are all connected.
True enough, true enough. I think, never before have we ever been at a time in history where we have so much available at our fingertips. And I think this is the greatest opportunity for emerging markets. We have some great thinking that has come with a great deal of science in Western communities. But I think this notion of alpha dreamers is really taking us to, while it's coupling with our advancements in technology, it's really taking us to a new level of access and opportunity. And it's allowing us to connect much more easily than we have in the past, and allowing us to go forward in a way and focus on a way that we've never been able to focus before. We have access to information at our fingertips from anywhere around the globe. And your question about youth and how youth has an extreme opportunity today to inform not only our current business leaders, but to inform our national and international messaging of what's really important to societies around the globe. So I think that one of the biggest assets that an alpha dreamer has is their curiosity, their adaptability, and their ability to continually search new ideas. No idea is a bad idea. It's about coming up with as many ideas as possible, right from your front lines, right to your customer base, and being able to make fast decisions on those ideas as we go.
Yeah, I think if you recall years ago when we talked about population-rich nation and knowledge-rich nation, a decade or two ago, population-rich nations were considered a liability. Population was considered a curse on society. India, Pakistan countries were labeled as land of fakirs and snake charmers and rickshaw drivers. And today, when you see the same people holding a cell phone, almost running an enterprise out of it on a very, very small scale, of course. And then, of course, having the internet and $1 trillion technology at the other end plugged to that phone, all thanks to America. America invented the internet, they invented the phone, they invented all the technology. And it was a gift to the society, just like the Arabs invented the zero and made travel to space possible. But apart from these scientific cultural exchanges, the fact is that when you take a look at the population-rich nation like Pakistan, and then when you see that there are 100 million devices of technology available to them, then you realize very quickly that the mankind was always open to ideas, to options. They never had the tools available compared to somebody in Africa sitting under a banyan tree with no shoes and paper and pencil or no device and no electricity and no clean water. So I think technology is making the turnaround of that social change, which is unstoppable, and it will continue to grow. When we talk about the knowledge-rich nation, these were the nations where they had knowledge. Now today, knowledge is cascading to the population-rich thing, and this is where the shifts are taking place, very climatic shifts taking place. And in these kinds of shifting, the Alpha Dreamers are the new generation who are rejecting the old models, and they're saying enough is enough. We understand and we look at society differently, and we want new models and new thinking. And it's a silent majority, and it is the largest group ever assembled on this planet. And one day they will become a force. They're already a force. When you think Facebook having 1 billion users and Google and all those things, and so many of these Chinese and Indian and other platforms like that, they are the voices of the future. Question is, do we have the audibility to hear them now? Can we really hear the Alpha Dreamers, what they will be talking about only 5-10 years from now? 5 years is a long time. In less than 500 days, we are into 2020. 20 years of this millennium gone. Remember 2000? Remember Y2K? How quickly the time has flown? So, Shelley, tell me more. How do you think that mid-sized businesses and small businesses and their generational gaps, how can they survive? How can they boost? How can they become better? How can they improve and through innovation and whatnot? Because we argue that if your mind can grow, your business will grow. But if your business has grown and brought you to a point, it does not guarantee that will keep on growing forever. Unless your mind grows, it will not happen. Please,
Very
your
good.
thoughts.
Excellent. Thank you. I think, again, now more than ever, we have this ability to connect to knowledge very freely. This will do several things for emerging markets. I think, number one, what we're seeing, I think, out there is we're seeing that when people have access to knowledge and information, that's when the part of their ecosystem allows for local and regional innovation. Once a local and regional innovation starts, we have to ask ourselves, where does that start? Where does local and regional innovation start? It starts with the needs of its constituents, the needs of its consumers. And there's no better way than for local business, small and mid-sized businesses, to build themselves than by living among their communities and finding out what's important and what's necessary at this time in history. The fact that they can actually access global knowledge is a real benefit, because that's a part of education that doesn't need to be formal. It's a part of education where people are sharing from all over the world their wins, their losses, their failures, their successes. And that contributes to creation, overall creation. And I think Alpha Dreamers now more than ever have this ability because of their natural state of curiosity and their ability to reach down not just to their customer base, which is where we know that innovation is really relevant, but to their individual workforces. And I think that's where we have, that's where emerging markets have a real opportunity, is by tapping into the natural intelligence of their own teams. So, I think one of the things that I think we're going to see in the future is the infrastructure of Western countries right now has served its purpose. It's becoming obsolete and not necessary. So this is a time when technology is at where we're at. It's going to allow emerging markets to really take a leapfrog into the future and stand up as world leaders on the global stage.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This is amazing. And what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Why are we doing this now? What is this Expothon? What is this Octara? Why this national debate? Why are we having this discussion for 12 hours? Why we have people from all over the place? And why we are planning to do this again and again and again? Because we are committed to increase that transaction, increase that discussion, and increase some kind of a productive outcome out of all that to reflect on the mid-size economy. It's a proof that technology today allows us to do this. It is a proof that we can interact and bounce ideas and discussions from all over the nation and overseas. It is a proof that it is doable and it is reaching a very large audience. And it is also a proof that it is productive, because there are so many tentacles out of this discussion that are going to cascade in their own ways, manifesting new policies and new trends and new thoughts and new that. Because I'm sure some entrepreneur must have invented a university a few thousand years ago, or a new cinema for people to come and watch it. We feel that dialogue and discussion on mid-size economy, focus, committed, and targeted to a segment of that market, which we call the driving engine of the economy, which, by the way, no media has a focused, highly authoritative, qualitative subject on it. Their commentaries and their subject matters are political. We have no government body that has got the intellectual capital to articulate these topics with pragmatic solution, with focus, with intensity, and with accessibility. We do not have any national agenda that wants to address that. So if you take out the political rhetoric, isolate with the economical humdrum concepts, and then you bring in the academia and the formal education towards explicit knowledge, it creates a very wide gap. We are out there to try to offer this alternate, and our alternate is the platform. And our platform is digital. And in this digital, we have framed ourselves to provide this to a segment of 5,000 mid-sized businesses in Pakistan, to help them, to nurture, to grow, to guide, and to continuously provide them ideas, suggestions, and open their wings to do that. And we call this the modern way of doing, communicating, and creating the opportunities for exportability, profitability, and growth, and so on. A lot of people are saying, oh, we are 10 years ahead of their time. And our answer is very simple. We may be 10 years too late. But the point is that this is where we are, this is what we are doing, and we are getting a very, very interesting response for taking the lead. And to us, it's what the Alpha Dreamers started showing us. And this is what the techno-calamity brought to us. And this is where multinationalization bringing us closer. So the whole system is evolving. A new ecology is evolving. And we are just a small little player in it, a small little player. But whatever we are doing, it can be replicated in 50 countries by next week, if we want. We have the technology to do it. We have the intelligence and the knowledge and the capital, thought leadership to mobilize it and do it. And these are the living proof of what some people envisioned 20, 30 years ago, somebody inventing the computer and laptop and electricity and the bulb. And they said, oh, a time is going to come that you would be alive LinkedIn with mobile and Skype and all this put together with social media capability, and you would be able to do import and export and all that without having any interference, and trade and provide a new level of e-commerce, a new level of opportunity. So we are warriors, but that's what we do best. So, Shelley, what are some of the new things that you see emerging in this dialogue, if we continue this dialogue? And what will be some of your thoughts in conclusion?
Excellent. Well, thank you for that question, Nassim. I just think that that right now is absolutely perfect timing for emerging markets to actually take stock of where they are. I mean, for many years, we have seen emerging markets look at westernized countries and in North America, where I'm from, as a leader in innovation and hopeful to be on the Western stage, or the North American stage, if you will. But really what I think is important now for most emerging markets is to recognize that you have everything you need to be a leader, to transcend, the original infrastructure that North America led in, because it's no longer required. So I think the biggest opportunity here is to recognize that there is international messaging about what's important to society as a whole, societies as wholes. And I think that we're going to see some emerging trends, and we do already. We see emerging trends. For example, we understand that the environment is a big trend. And yet, North America is still working with old ideas on how to deal with the environment. This is where emerging markets and alpha dreamers have the real opportunity to transcend and leapfrog anything that's ever been designed so far. So I see that a couple of different, you asked the question, what needs to change? Well, a couple of things. One, confidence in your own ability to transcend infrastructure. You don't need it. you have everything you need from a technological standpoint today, and it will continue to get better even at accessing knowledge. I mean, it'll continue to provide more access to knowledge and access to creative and cooperative creation, right? With people around the world that you don't even know, just through the internet.
I know.
So I think that that the real big opportunities here are for people who are not necessarily steeped in old infrastructure, rather in the new coming infrastructure. So, and we have a lot of brilliant, brilliant people in our emerging markets that don't actually know how things were done in Western communities, which is absolutely perfect, because those are the minds that don't know any better, and they're the ones that are going to come up with these great ideas. That's where true leadership is going to take place.
And this is so well articulated, and this is where we are. Our total thrust is to capture those minds and try to assemble them and try to mobilize and try to do that. Shelley, thank you so much, taking time in your busy schedule. I will be talking to you in coming days. We are debating this on a very long marathon, and we will touch base soon. I want to wish you all the best, and goodbye from Karachi.
Thank you, Naseem.